Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a truly special and very important online event today. It's called Explore the Shadow of the Empath. Identify and release survival patterns to strengthen boundaries and awaken your deepest spiritual gifts. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and today's discussion is really important for the moment we're in. So many people in the Shift Network are empaths. I consider myself an empath, as many people do who are more spiritually sensitized and more attuned, and frankly, more evolved oftentimes in their consciousness. And right now is a tricky time sometimes to be an empath. And so we want to explore some really deep insights and practical skills for how you can navigate this moment and really make best use of your empathic gifts. And we're going to get to do so with a remarkable teacher. Her name is Dr. Divi Chandna. She's a mind, body, spirit medicine expert. She's an intuitive coach and spiritual teacher. She's taught before for Shift, and we're really delighted to have her back. So welcome, Divi.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you so much for having me back.
Great. And I'm excited to dive in with you. And I also want to let everyone know up front that we are going to have a brand new program with Divi called Shadow Wisdom for Empaths. And we'll share more about that towards the end of the hour. So, Divi, let's begin our time together with a little about your journey into being an empath and what you learned about yourself in that process that you're now teaching to others.
So I've got a long story that I'll try to make really short. I was a family doctor. That was my first career. And then that took me into teaching yoga from getting quite sick. And then that took me into running yoga studios, getting pregnant. And then my intuition went crazy. That was about 21 years ago. So I started an intuitive business after studying intuition about 17 years ago and had to work through some of the basic shadows like fear of being seen, fear of charging, and then relatively quickly built a pretty busy business as an intuitive coach. And then this specific program, though, came to me in the last, 6 months to a year, and I'll try to make it really short. So I had this very, very successful business. I had a 2-year wait list to see me, which is a good problem if you do what I do. I was teaching classes, but I had hit this glass ceiling in my business. And so there were 3 areas of my life that were impacted. The glass ceiling in my business, I could only, financially, was doing well, but obviously everybody, what more can I do to serve more people was the question, and how can I help? But I had to hit a glass ceiling. Then the other area was my own relationships, my husband and myself. I was thinking, he's just not doing his work enough. Your kid moves out, you start thinking, well, what else is in life? And then the third area was my health, but the health one impacted me the most, Stephen. So what happened was I was starting with like some lower back pain, no big deal. And then the one that really hit me was I lost vision in my left eye. And don't worry, everything's fine. I regained my vision. It was a retinal detachment and it's improving. But dropped me to my knees, which I think a lot of the listeners can relate to. And I thought, what is going on? If I create my reality, how did I lose my vision, especially given what I do for work? And that's when I discovered a lot of my shadows that were blocking all those areas of my life, my business, my relationship. And then moving those shadows actually started to heal things. And so my eyes started to get better, my back got better, my hips got better. It's like, whew. Then the relationship and money, everything just started moving. But I didn't realize how deeply packed those shadows were. And so that's partly the inspiration for this course. Yeah.
So when we talk about shadows, sometimes people have like, some somewhat negative connotations around. Maybe share a little bit what is the shadow, and understanding it in the broadest possible context, and particularly what are some of the shadow things that empaths tend to most manifest.
So the term shadow was coined by Carl Jung, and it specifically refers to patterns in the mind that we're not consciously aware of that typically originate in childhood or in trauma or from ancestral wounding. So that's the definition of shadows. As sensitives, we tend to be more attuned to this traumatic event. And so we ingrain them a little bit more solidly, for lack of a better word. And so this common sense is the shadows. And given that you and I work with sensitives for a living, probably 99% of your listeners are sensitive, if not 100. So there's some really, really common shadows sensitives share, like their unconscious patterns from traumatic events in childhood. So here are just some common ones, and we'll be talking all about them in the class. We've got the common ones I ran into myself was a constant need for external validation. I grew up with a father who was quite strict, and so I constantly needed my husband, my son, my clients to reassure me. So it showed up as people pleasing, perfectionism. And then the other one that we commonly do is we're always looking for emotional safety with others. So if
Mm,
they're okay, we're okay. A
mm,
lot of my clients deal with that one is like, okay, are they okay? Are they okay? And then we're constantly drilling in our head. And so what that happens there is like a chronic vigilance pattern. It's like we're always checking our email, we're always tuning into other people. We have difficulty setting boundaries. Couple of other ones that are really impacting a lot of people right now with all the craziness in the world that's happening is like we're not let some senses don't let themselves feel the depths of what they're feeling. Like it's a deep, like it's a survival technique to not feel how icky things can feel. And some people will also spiritually bypass, like everything's fine. They won't turn on the TV, pretend like nothing's happening. And so we create these bubbles around us. Another one that a lot of clients who come to my workshop say is they can't tell the difference between their intuition and anxiety. So it's like their shadow caused them to overthink, overthink, overthink. And yet one of the greatest gifts that sensitives have is our intuition. So at this time on the planet, it's so important to be aware of what's our shadows versus what's our gifts. So yeah.
mm. Well, it's a great overview, and it'd be probably good to go into each of those in a little bit more depth. So I think the first one you were sharing was a little bit more around the over attunement, or kind of being overly focused on the other and pleasing them, making kind of finding safety by making sure others are feel good first, if you will. So how do you start to kind of recognize that shadowing yourself and start to uncover what's underneath it to start to shift it?
So you start paying attention to what's happening in your body. So we often think when we walk into the room, it's somebody else's emotions that are impacting us. If you're centered, aligned, and grounded, and you walk into the room, and sure, you might feel the other person's energy, but you have to sort of freeze time and say, what am I feeling first? Most sensitives almost live in this chronic level of fight or flight, and they're waiting for safety. So they walk into the room and instantly they'll feel the other person as opposed to saying, what's going on in me first? And that's a key way to start is to slow down,
Mm,
listen within, listen to your body. Is your breathing erratic? And what we tend to do is we tend to blame them rather than go, wait a second, this was me not feeling safe. And then we'd look at patterns like, am I overthinking? Am I wondering, is this safe? Do I feel okay? And those thoughts are so quick, so quick, so quick, so quick. And so watching things like that is really the key.
So the story becomes wrapped up around the other, and what we're kind of shielding from is that our own sort of our own vigilance behind that, if you will.
100%, 100%. And I typically find three things wrapped together for a lot of female and male clients. People pleasing, perfectionism, and chronic vigilance. We're like always vigilant saying, are they okay? Are they okay? Are they okay? And it sort of becomes a pattern that you see in a lot of your relationships after a while. It's like, whoa, I do this everywhere.
Hmm. So what does it look like as you begin to sort of catch yourself and notice that and begin to kind of reel back in some of that projection?
Yeah, what starts to happen is you realize it's your own fear, almost always from childhood, parenting, siblings, whatever, and go, wait a second. I am only safe in connection with, if you call it the divine, the creator, love, spirit. That is where my safety lies. It does not lie in overthinking. It doesn't lie in if they're okay. It doesn't lie in me fixing them, but it comes back to like, can I find safety in this moment, in this breath, right now? And
Mm,
something you said at the beginning, given what's happening in the world right now, that skill is so important right now. So
mm.
important.
So in some ways, we have to kind of unplug from things that change or less predictable into the ground of being that's always present, it sounds like.
100%, because we have to realize that our safety only lies within our connection to that infinite creator. You know, I always say we have a mind of love that rests within us. And I point to my right head, my right brain, which is on this side for me, but for the listeners, it's opposite because of the camera. But our right brain only holds love. So if
Mm,
we remember that, it's like, wait, there's a mind of love in me right now. Can I connect to that right now? And then expose myself to this person, to the news, to what's happening in the world. But I have to ground within in that safety first.
So you're also kind of like building a different energetic grounding system before you engage things that might be less predictable or chaotic or all the stuff in the world.
Exactly. And that's the only way to stay sane with everything that's happening right now, or else we're constantly being pulled out into fear, into other people's stuff, into their reactions, and so on. So grounding and into ourselves is the most important. And most of us know that they've always said that this was a time of intense spiritual upbuilding. So
Mhm.
the only way we can do that is for each of us to find that connection to the divine without labeling of the blame or the judgment of what's wrong. So that we have to connect to that love first in order to heal and shift what's happening.
Mhm. So I'm not sure if I got the order totally right, but there was another one where you were saying just how not being willing to feel something all the way through, it becomes sort of a bit of an evasion or a shadow. So, given that the sheer velocity of which things are coming at us in the outer world and news cycles right now, I wonder how you sort of like blend that insight that we need to kind of feel them through, or rather than dissociate with some of what we already shared.
It's a great question. Again, it goes back to that grounding. First, we have to ground within ourselves, ground into love. And at the same time, there's certain types of people, and we know who we are, who don't want to feel, right? We will smile through somebody being beaten up. We'll avoid, hearing what's happening in Africa or Iran. And that avoidance is actually impacting us because we're like, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. Nothing is too much for the infinite love who you are. But we
Mhm.
have to connect to the infinite love and then maybe watch the news, maybe hear what's going on in the world, and then give yourself permission to feel the sadness that runs through your body. But it'll be less overwhelming or intense if you're connected to that energy of love. But we still have to feel the pain as opposed to pretending it's not there or
Hmm.
pretending it's not, we're not, or it's not happening in the world.
Mhm. So without the grounding system, it kind of gets bottled up in you, and then that becomes more toxic. But if you open the ground, then it kind of flows through, it sounds like.
You nailed it. That's exactly it. I mean, my workshops are busier than ever because I think people are feeling it so much in their body that they don't know what to do with it. So they
Hmm.
want some help. And the first thing I teach them how to do is like get into that first chakra. I am safe.
Hmm.
And
Do
from there, we can work in the upper stuff.
you want to share more about how you get into the first chakra and then feel that you are genuinely safe?
Sure. It's a really simple technique. Most of us know where the first chakra is. I point to where the legs insert, often the perineum muscles, where we do Kegel's exercise, where we start and stop our peak. So we bring the visual attention there. We close our eyes and take a few breaths. And we want to visualize a red ball. Make it a big ball, a small ball, totally up to you. And it's pulsating and it's spinning. And we just say these words: I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And then attach that, I visualize red cords going from that circle down my legs into Mother Earth. And any fears I have can leave those cords. Mother Earth can transmute that to love and safety in the divine and send it right back up the cords into that first chakra. And right there, I'm a little bit or a lot bit safer and grounded and here.
Hmm. It's almost like you're creating like a little umbilical cord to the earth energy there to remind yourself of the connection to Mother Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super important because a lot of sensitives, we have the upper chakras wide open, but the ones lower down are like, ah. So we have to become more balanced so we can really know that our sensitivities and our gifts are here for a reason. Yeah.
Mhm. So circling back to some of the other shadows, I'm not remembering exactly
Okay.
what the next. What you want to go to the next one now?
Sure. Another one would be needing other people to validate us. So I think a lot of women can relate to this. And I jokingly say, recently, literally about a week or two ago, I made my husband, I made cookies. I got this intuitive nudge to make cookies, and I don't know why I make cookies. But it was the first time I asked myself, am I making these cookies for myself? I love to bake because I love the process of putting things together and watching it rise in the oven. Or am I doing this for validation for my husband who loves peanut butter cookies? And it was probably the first time I've cooked for him, not for him, but cooked without saying, oh, is this okay? Do you like it? Did I put too much sugar in? Right? That takes up energy. So needing validation is something that a lot of sensitives do. And we do it with our spouses, with our kids, with our partners, with our dogs. And when we do it, we lose centering, right? And if you run a business similar to what I do, you're always looking for your clients for validation. And then that creates a glass ceiling for you financially. Your clients text you at 2 in the morning. None of that is fun. So needing validation is a very common shadow that sensitives have. And I can riff through the others if you want to hear some of those too.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
go a little bit deeper into each. I think is
Sure.
useful to kind of unpack them a little bit so we really kind
Yeah.
of look at the insights.
Fear of being seen is a really big one. So, depending on, again, your childhood, it might not have been safe to be seen in your light. You might think, like I used to think, I'm ugly, I've got a different skin tone, there's something wrong with me. No one, if our people look at me, they won't listen to me. So fear of being seen impacts so many areas of sensitive lives. I know for myself, even little things like when my son used to play a high level of basketball and I would go to his high school games, I would sit in the back corner by myself thinking it was weird. What? And then if you run a business, fear of being seen, your clients can't find you on the internet. They don't know you exist because that energetically you're hiding. So fear of being seen is really, really common with sensitives. And when we learn to heal and shift that, everything starts to change. Another one we all struggle with, that a lot of sensitives, not all, but some struggles with, is this idea that I have to stay small. I
Hmm.
have to shrink. I'm too much. People aren't going to like me. If I show who I am, I'll be ostracized. And yes, maybe it's past life, maybe it's your ancestry, but really, we have a gift to heal this planet. We have 8 billion people struggling. And those who are our senses were here on purpose to help them. But first, we have to help ourselves. So if we're trying to stay small, if we're shrinking, if we're afraid, we can't be in service for what our gifts are. We can't bring love forward for all the fear that is like a toxicity on the planet. So we either feed the fear or we fear the love. But if we're shrinking, we can't serve. The other ones that I commonly see are, as we alluded to earlier, spiritually bypassing. And for sensitives, what I see is they'll stay in relationships longer than they should, or they won't speak their truth. They're like, oh, no, no, it's all good. It's all good. But they're not listening to their throat chakra, which is do something, say something, be something. And then the last one I'll throw in there is deciphering the difference between intuition and anxiety. It's so common. Almost all workshops I teach, people always say to me, Divi, how can I tell the difference between intuition and anxiety? And it's a really simple answer. Intuition is a gentle, loving, soft, repetitive voice that says, yes, keep going. Yes, keep going. Yes, keep going. And anxiety is, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But one of the reasons we can't tell the difference is because we overthink, we overanalyze. We are constantly looking for safety. So the more we do that in our head, the more we can't listen to the intuitive nudges. So the overanalysis, the overthinking stops us from truly, truly feeling and knowing our worth. And then as we start to heal the chronic thinking, the chronic vigilance, the overanalysis, we can hear the intuition. The intuition is our gateway to life. So these shadows will actually make us sick. They'll block us. They'll cause huge havoc in our relationships. They'll keep us in the imposter land. And yet, why are so many senses on the planet right now when it's going crazy? Is we're here to help heal the world. That's what I truly believe. And it only doesn't take every single one of us, but more of us that rise up, we can shift things. So.
Mm. I love that empowering perspective. Did you want to share a little bit about how some of these shadows, because you had you talked about your health crisis there, and is like how were some of these shadows sort of manifesting in your own challenges at the time?
For me, the biggest ones I used to see, and I still see a little bit now, I've worked on a lot of them, was I was always making sure everybody in my life was safe. So right before my eye detached. I had gone home to see my father and mother, and they weren't doing well. It'd been about a year since I had seen them. They're in their 90s. And I think I just fell apart, not just emotionally, but mentally. And it was like almost this unconscious voice that said, I've done something wrong, started. And it was whew, overwhelming. And when we start to have that, our whole health can go off. when they have we all know they have their path versus I have my path, but that emotional nature of the child takes over. So that's one that, I've struggled with and I'm really working on. The other ones I've struggled with a lot that I've really worked on healing have been things like, over checking emails, over taking care of everybody, especially if you run a business like I do when I'm in the emotional realm. It's like I'm always thinking about how so and so is receiving my coaching. Then I'm not serving the divine to speak through me. Then I'm not serving that client to get what they're supposed to get. And then I can't cut cords. I can't move on. I can't be in peace. And then what we often do is we project onto our partners. We're like, oh, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. When it's our own story over and over and over again.
Hmm. So it was kind of corroding your quality of your relationship because you were sort of doing that in the work and then spilling it over, it sounds like.
100%. And a lot of sensitives do that. A lot of intuitives do that, which is why we all have trouble being married. But a lot of us do it. And it's very challenging. Yet at the same time, it's our own stuff. It's our own stuff.
Uh-huh. So, one thing you were talking about before around is this distinguishing between your own emotions and what other people, a lot of times empaths assume that we're sort of absorbing more from the environment or other people. And maybe just share about some of what you've learned around how to really distinguish your own natural emotional patterns and what's energy coming from others.
Great question, because it is one of the most common things I see and hear. So at the end of the day, most of us as senses are not plugged into love. We just went into that very simple exercise to plug into safety. But we have to get those lower chakras aligned, and I can go through those in a second, so that we are in a state of grace, of love, and in our empowerment. And the thing about sensitives, if we're not there, we're going to be in fear instantly. It's like a black oil drop in white water. It's like, so if we're not grounded in our safety, in our divinity, in our love, in our what's often called our Holy Spirit, holy self, if we're not there, we're in fear. But we're as senses, we're quicker into that. So we'll walk into a room and somebody is off and we're like, oh, and we're not aware that our job is not to pick up their stuff. Our job is not to fix it. Our only job is to ground into love, period. And if we do that more often, and that's been it's almost like I felt like I've done a PhD in the last number of years. It is totally life-changing. I no longer get twerked when my husband walks in the door. I no longer feel it when my client is going off. I no longer feel something when I walk into the room and there's 50 people waiting for me for a workshop and they're all off. Because if I'm grounded in myself, and I'm not just in Divi, but I'm grounded in the divinity of who I am, I'm grounded in the safety of love, if I'm grounded in the consciousness of all that is, then nothing can stop me. Then I won't feel anything of fear. But then if I'm in that energy, then I can open my channels and say, what's happening to you as opposed to your stuff landing on me. So I'll just go through the bottom four chakras, so it hopefully helps people. So we did that first one with Stephen a minute ago of I am safe. So we'll just do that one really quickly again. The first chakra, right where we do Kegel's exercises, stop and start the P is I am safe. That's red. Good, you're there. Good. Then if you move just a couple inches up, right below the belly button, that's the second chakra. And again, if you can close your eyes for this one, that will help a lot. That's more of an orange color. And you can see it spinning. There you go, and keep breathing. And this simple affirmation, I am innocent. And so let those first two land. I am safe. I am innocent. And keep breathing. Then if you move to the third, it's more of a yellow color, and it's right at where the ribs insert. It's commonly called the solar plexus, a couple inches below the heart. That's more of a yellow color, so see that spinning. Good. That's I am empowered. There you go. Good. So all we've done is safety, innocence, and empowered. Now, if those three chakras are balanced, you're ahead of 90% of the people in the world. Then if you go up to heart, oh my gosh, sensitives, no problem here. I am love. This is green. I am love. And since we're all the way here, we'll go right to the top. Keep breathing. Then we go into the throat, which is right at the Adam's apple. That's more blue. It's I am truth. And if you move up to the third eye, more of an indigo color, I am intuitive. Good. And at the top, the white, right at the very crown chakra, the very top of your head, I am. I am. That simplicity. So I'm just going to do them from the bottom to the top. And if you actually do these before you leave your house, you do them before you roll out of bed, you do them before you go into work, you'll notice a massive difference. So at the bottom, I am safe. And if you can, do the cords right to the middle of the earth. Beautiful. Go to the second. I am innocent. I am innocent. Go to the third. I am empowered. I am empowered. Good. Fourth. I am love. I am love. Beautiful. Fifth. I am truth. I am truth. Sixth. I am intuitive. I am intuitive. Seventh. I am. I am. Beautiful. And the more you encode yourself in that energy, you're now plugged in to all that is. And as you keep breathing, then you know this is your home base. And then as soon as somebody else's energy comes in, we have to say, okay, this is theirs. Why am I feeling it? What is the story I've got in my head? How is this an energy thought matched to a thought in me? What needs to shift in me to refine this balance? And that's some of the deeper work once you find that balance. But that's a powerful way to no longer pick up other people's stuff and be able to decipher the difference. And then also what is yours as a result of theirs. And then once we can shift that, we go back into alignment.
Hmm. I love the sort of comprehensive way you're working with each chakra. I know you also wanted to guide us in a bit of a Divine Mother meditation to sort of like ground this whole set of teachings. You want to share a little bit about the context for that and how we can now build into that?
Sure, perfect. So thank you, because that's a great place as a segue to that. So let's just say I've lined those energy channels up, Stephen, and I'm feeling amazing. And then let's just make this up. Your husband walks in, your kid calls, a client calls, um, you just saw something on the news. And all of a sudden a thought occurs in your head. And that thought is, I've done something wrong. And the thought is, I'm not safe. Or the thought is, what's wrong? I have to fix something, whatever that thought is. And senses they occur really quickly. So what do I do with that? I just spent 10 minutes in alignment. Now I can feel the pain again. Jesus Christ, what do I do? That's where the Divine Mother comes in. So a lot of my work now revolves around the Divine Mother and who she is. And we'll describe her before I take it into meditation. If you hear the word the Divine Mother, you just sit with it. You can ask yourself what comes up in your mind. For most people, what comes up is this energy of a mother, energy of feminine, which is pure love. And just sit with that for a sec before going to this meditation and teaching you with it to work with her. So Divine Mother is an energy that we're all born with. She sits in our heart. She is the energy of true love that actually can see our pain and see our problem. And she's the one who, for lack of a better word, forgives it, which I'm going to define in a minute before I go into meditation. She'll forgive it and take us right back into center. Okay. The other things about the Divine Mother before I define forgiveness, for some people, the Divine Mother represents, say, Mother Mary. For somebody else, more Kuan Yin. For somebody else, Kali, Lakshmi. And even if those names mean nothing to you, don't worry about it. The Divine Mother is this feminine energy that we have all forgotten about, who is so powerful and can undo all of your fears. So that's one part. Second part, let's talk about forgiveness before I go into the meditation. Forgiveness spiritually is very, very different than forgiveness in our 3D world. As most of us know, in our 3D world, if I would say forgiving a friend or a husband or the president of the United States, I'm joking. If I was forgiving somebody, it typically means I'm the better person and I forgive you. I'm okay. I'm going to take the high road. It's okay. And the reason traditional forgiveness doesn't work is because we're saying, I am better than you, which as a spiritual seeker, as a sensitive, as an empath, we know it's not true because I am the divine and so is that person. Okay, so that definition doesn't work. Forgiveness from the Divine Mother is going to the place before that story occurs. Interesting, right? Forgiveness is going to that place before I had that thought, before I was impacted with that wound. And the Divine Mother is the only energy that can do that, which is so exciting that we're going to work with her. And she does it instantly. And our job is to take it to her. She does it all. So that's my preamble before I take us into the meditation. Does that make sense before we go there?
Sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So in this meditation, just for the purpose of it, to make it easy for everybody, we're going to use the unworthiness wound just for the heck of it, because everybody has the unworthiness wound and how it impacts our sensitivities and shadows. If I don't feel worthy, then I'm responsible for him and her. I need to take care of them. I need you for validation. So again, that's just for this meditation, but you can take anything to the Divine Mother. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. And once the eyes close, just take a few breaths. Inhale and exhale. Belly rises and belly falls. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. Let's just breathe here together. If you wish, you can place a hand on your belly button and another hand on your chest wall. And just pay attention to which hand is moving more. Let's invite the belly hand to do its magic. Let's exhale completely and inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold the breath. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. Keep that cycle of breath going. You can go to 6 or 8, 2 or 10. It doesn't really matter. Purposely finding pauses at the end of the inhale and at the end of the exhale. Beautiful. On your next breath, let's invite ourselves to go into a beautiful, beautiful place in nature. This may be a place you visit often or a place you've never been to. If more than one are coming to mind, let yourself choose one of them. The most important thing about this space, you feel safe. You feel comfortable. You feel comfortable. You feel safe. And just breathe. Look around you. What do you see? What are the colors? What do you hear? What sounds are there? Beautiful. What do you smell? In your safe and comfortable place. and just breathe. How does the air feel? What is the temperature? Beautiful. In your safe and comfortable place. And just keep breathing. Keep breathing. Now, out of the corner of your eye, there's someone or something approaching you. There's absolutely nothing fearful about this. This is the energy of the Divine Mother, the energy of infinite love. Now, you may see her. Somebody else might feel her, maybe hear her, or know of this presence of energy. There you go. Of love standing directly in front of you. And just breathe. Her energy rests in your heart. And she is here to transmute any fears. Take you to the place before that thought ever occurred. And just keep breathing. Now you see directly in front of you, or in front of her, is a beautiful little altar. And on that altar, you can put any thoughts that you're ready to give up. Maybe just from being here, you're starting to realize I've got some thoughts of unworthiness. That thought of people pleasing. That thought of being perfect, whatever that thought is. Think of writing those thoughts onto a piece of paper and putting them on the altar. And just settle into your breath. And as you give them to her one at a time, simply say this prayer. Forgiveness, set me and everyone free. Do that slowly. Forgiveness, set me and everyone free. I want to know who I am without this thought. I am ready to give up this thought, this unworthiness thought that's been attacking me for so long. I give this to you, Mother. I am done with it. Good. Keep breathing. As you breathe, you can see that she will take that thought from you. And she will begin to show you or have you feel or sense who you are in truth. And just keep breathing. After you have given her that thought, she walks over to you and places one of her hands on your heart and another hand on your third eye. And you will begin to feel a vibration in your body. It's like the truth is entering you. The truth of who you've always been, there you go, is entering you. And just keep breathing. Slow breath in, long breath out. As you look at her, you can say, I am ready to see this differently. I am ready to know the truth of who I am. As you get quiet, you may get a picture given to you or a sensation in your body or a knowing might creep in. You might hear something. So as I get quiet and your body gets still, allow the Divine Mother to invite you to know the truth of who you are without this thought. and just keep breathing. Beautiful. Deep, slow breaths. Good. Really good. Some of you might feel a sense of warmth or tingles, a hot and cold or pressure, maybe a picture, maybe nothing at all at this second, but maybe something in a few minutes or a few hours. But most of you will get something now. Beautiful. Good work. Really good work. Now, before you come back, we need you to know something. Once you have given it to the Divine Mother, it is done. There's a definition. A miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. So once you've given it to her and you've allowed the truth to enter, the love to enter, you've shifted things. It's a shift in perception. Good work. Now, after a few breaths, when you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers, take a moment to thank yourself and the Divine Mother. And then there will be a moment that you know you are ready. And I guarantee you're going to come back and visit her many times after you first feel her. When you're ready, you can slowly start to come back.
Well, thank you for the tenderness in that meditation. Really beautiful. Like your authenticity of connection really gets conveyed to all of us. So,
Thank you.
yes. So, in reflecting on that, what is it have you seen that is about releasing something to the Divine Mother that way that really shifts things in a deeper way, particularly beliefs that we're letting go of or stories?
Great question. So there's going to be a sidebar answer to that. So, they've always said that this was the time of awakening. COVID represented that big shift, moving from patriarchy to more of a feminine. And so the Divine Mother is the essence that we're all missing out on, the energy that can undo a story. Think about it. Are you a parent, Stephen?
Yes.
Okay. So as parents, and for those listeners who are parents, there's an ask you if you can relate to this. As a mother or father, we can look at a child and a child says, I don't believe in myself. And you look at them going, you have no reason not to believe in yourself as the parent. The creator knows that, right? And the mother and the father can look at you and go, huh? I totally see your gifts. I totally see who you are. So that's the Divine Mother's impact. I've seen clients undo so much garbage, like so much, I can't even tell you, and work with her and know who they are in truth. And so the Divine Mother is here to shift everything. And the more we work with her, the more her power will blow your mind away. And you'll question, why did I ever hide? Just like if you're a parent or not, a parent will look at a kid and goes, I believe in you more than anything. And that's what the Divine Mother does for us.
It's great to bring it into a parenting context. I think that really makes it so personal. Well, beautiful, Divi. Thank you so much for everything you've shared already. And I want to talk about your upcoming course, since it's a really powerful way to heal the shadows that empaths carry and to embrace this deeper love force at the core of our being so that we can really be the shift and help to empower others to heal and evolve as well on this planet. So let's talk about it. It's called Shadow Wisdom for Empaths. Embrace the Divine Mother to transform survival patterns and activate your spiritual gifts. You can find it at the URL empathshadowwork.com, empathshadowwork.com. It's a 7-week program. You don't have to have any specific background for this. It's just if you're intuitively drawn. So, Divi, I'd love for you to share in your own words some of your intentions of what people will come away with, the kind of shifts they'll experience, and then let's go through the modules.
Sure. I'm sure if you've taken any class with the Shift Network or with me or really with anyone in this realm of spiritual work or energetic work, you know that when you sign up for a course, it's not just you signing up. Your guides are encouraging you. So if you have any little, then you're ready. That's part one. And so what will happen during the course is you don't need to know what your shadows are. They will be shown to you, which is the most exciting thing. You don't need to wait to lose your vision or hate your husband or drive your wife crazily. You don't even need to know how it's blocking you. But when you start showing up, you'll be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because the universe is always conspiring to help heal us. And so it's like an up leveling of sorts. So those so many blocks that you don't even know you've got, that this course will bring to your attention the first few weeks. And then in the subsequent weeks, we start to heal them, which is so exciting. Yeah.
Great. So, module one is called Identifying Your Core Shadow Patterns for Greater Self Understanding and Integrated Healing.
Yeah. So in that week, just like we did with Stephen during this, we're going to dive deeper into the common ones, and we'll do some journal prompts, we'll do some expression, we'll do some storytelling, and we'll actually start to investigate our own consciousness and thought patterns. Hmm, I think I've got that one. No one likes to admit that they're a people pleaser, a perfectionist, and I'll joke, most Canadians are people pleasers. But we don't like to admit that we've got these until we look at them. They're like, oh my God, look how much it's infecting me. So the first week is actually identifying them. Yeah.
Module two, Healing the Inner Voices Behind Empath Patterns for Self Compassion and Emotional Growth.
Yeah. So if you've done any shadow work or haven't, makes no difference at all. The traditional approach to shadow work is, it's called inner child work, where you start journaling, you start to give it love. And that's what we're going to do in week 2, is more the traditional approach to shadow work is, yeah, let's journal. Let's see what this voice is saying. Let's send it love. And that's going to be starting off in week 2.
Week three, Awakening the Divine Mother Within as a source of unconditional love and compassion.
My favorite, if you can't already tell. So we just touched on her for a few minutes with Stephen now. We're going to do it more, and we'll do it more and do it more. And we may explore certain ones like Kuan Yin, the energy of compassion, Kali, the energy of transformation, Mother Mary, and so on. And so as we explore those, we will really get to feel them in our body. And when we know they're there, then we can undo the story. So we will be immersed in her energy. And one thing about working with the Divine Mother, I've worked with her for years, online and in person. When people meet her and work with her, their life changes. It's like done deal, done.
Module four, Awakening Your True Nature, the innocent self within to release fear-based identity.
So as much as you see me here as Divi, and Stephen and I talked about this about 25 minutes ago. When you put your hand on your right head right now, there's an energy of love that exists within us. And that energy of love is who I am to my core. I am a holy self. Some teachers call it the Buddha consciousness, Christ consciousness. That is something within you that we have to find again. But we have to find that part of us first for the Divine Mother to work more powerfully with us. So that's going to be that week.
Beautiful. Then we go into Sacred Forgiveness, Module 5, Releasing the Past and Returning to Wholeness.
So the meditation I just did with Steve, and that was one exercise in forgiveness. I've got a bucket of them. So we'll do, once you identify your holy self, your Christ consciousness, your Buddha nature, the part of you that doesn't shrink, doesn't have to be small, doesn't have to be scared. Once you identify that holy self, we've already worked with the Divine Mother, then we'll learn a bunch of different forgiveness techniques to go from the fear to the love. And we'll watch miracles left, right, and center, left, right, and center.
Module 6, Embodied Sovereignty, Living Your Truth with Clarity and Self-Care Boundaries.
This is a fun one. Then once you start the forgiveness work, then you start to know who you are in truth. You start to know, no, I don't have to be that girl who had to go please others. I don't need to be that woman who's doing jumping jacks for approval. I can be this. And that's when boundaries are easy to form. And I always talk about boundaries from love and not from fear. This is a boundary from love. This is, I know who I am in truth. And then you're like, I don't even recognize that person who started this class 7 weeks ago. Who is that? And then we identify, whew, this is who I am.
That's great. Module 7 then goes into embodiment of your gifts, living as an empowered empath.
Yeah. And you'll see an overlap between 6 and 7. So this is where we start to go, wait a second. I now look at my patterns in my life, the overgiving, the overdoing, the chronic vigilance. And now I've done all this work over these last 7 weeks. Who do I want to be? Let me take that into my heart. How can I show up at work tomorrow differently? How can I show up at dinner tomorrow differently? Who is that? And that gets even stronger and stronger and stronger. So it's almost like a big self-reflection at week 6 and 7 to go, whoa, this is who I am.
Mm. Well, beautiful modules and such important outcomes for that you're focusing on too. So again, this is all laid out in more detail at empathshadowwork.com. If you choose to move forward, you'll get the 7 90-minute live sessions with Divi, which is going to include interactive practice time, the Q&A time. You also get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts. There'll be weekly practices you can do at home that really deepen your journey. There's a community group to support you and connect you with all people all over the world, as well as small group time to connect with other participants. And on the page, you'll also see a number of other great bonuses. There's a video teaching and meditation from Divi called Emotional Awareness. You want to share more about that bonus?
Sure. So I don't care how long you've been in spiritual work. I laugh because I can study my emotional awareness video section and still learn. A lot of us aren't truly, truly aware of our emotions, what our body is saying, what we're feeling. And a lot of sensitives were taught not to feel. So this bonus is really going to help you tap into your feelings and learn how to move with those emotions and become aware of them.
That's a beautiful bonus and great reason to sign up by itself. And then there's a second bonus called The Next Step, Deepening Your Emotional Awareness. This is a video teaching and meditation Divi's created for this program. So you want to share more about the next step?
Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to teach something that's in that video that hopefully will help you. So once you start to become aware of your emotions and not just ignore them like we all do, you'll start to notice that most of us live in the lower vibrations, nothing wrong. Of powerlessness, fear, and anxiety, worry, anger. Welcome to being a human, right? And we all want to feel joy and love. So it actually takes you in a step by step by step technique on how to feel more joy and love, how to know that mind of who I am. And so it's actually like a step by step technique, which is super fun, but it actually gives you like a powerful tool that you have in your tool belt that when you're feeling off, it's like, oh, I'll just do that. And then you move up the emotion. Oh, I'll do that, move up. And then it's like, oh no, love and happiness is my true essence, becomes your way of being.
Mm. Beautiful extra bonus. And then there's one final bonus. It's really a special one, and I think particularly important right now. It's called the Victim Triangle. This is a video teaching and meditation from Divi. It goes into a very specific shadow. You want to share more about that?
Yeah. So just so you know, before I get into this, whenever I teach anything in person or online and I teach this triangle, most clients like their jaw drops. So I'll teach it really quickly so you understand what this bonus, because if you just do the class of this bonus, it will change your life. So the victim triangle it's also called the Cartman triangle. It was developed by a psychologist back in the 70s. So think of a triangle. Think of grade 1. There's 3 corners. In grade 1 or kindergarten, there's a victim, a kid who's being victimized, right? A bit who's being teased. That was me as a kid. Then there's a bully, the kid who's like, meh, 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 right? And then there's a hero who runs to the grade 1 teacher and gets her. The victim, bully, hero triangle, and if you actually start to pay attention to this, are the 3 states of the ego that are running your mind all the time. And if you look at society, the banking system, the legal system, they're all run in the victim triangle. And this course is going to teach you how to step out of it. If you're living in the victim triangle, there is no hope. No one likes to think of themselves as a victim. No one wants to be a bully. And us senses, we want to be heroes, but that doesn't help because if we're a hero, someone's a victim. So it's a really, really, really special bonus. And I will tell you that this bonus every time I teach a class, people's jaw drop when they actually realize, oh God, I live in that victim triangle 90% of my day. I'll just tell one small story, one quick example before I hand to Stephen. We can be a victim, bully, hero in the same fight with your partner or your kid or your best friend. You can change hats anytime, and you do it in your own mind. And this is the joke I always make. I don't actually do this, but if I went to the gym and weighed myself, I got on the scale, in 2 seconds, I'm the victim. Then within 2 seconds, I'm bullying myself for eating the ice cream. Then 2 seconds later, I'm the hero for working out tomorrow, and nothing happened. 6 seconds passed, and I'm all three hats. That's a great example of how the mind runs us. And in that triangle, there's no joy. So you learn that triangle, and you also learn how to step out of it, which is so fun. So,
Super important set of insights and practices. Yeah, really sounds awesome, that bonus. So again, that's the special bonus folks get when you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. That's the Victim Triangle, special video teaching and meditation. So it's going to be a really powerful program, and we've kept it very accessible in terms of investment. It's just three payments of $128. You can save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start May 28th and run Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings and transcripts in the community as well. Some great testimonials on the page from all the people that Divi has helped, including shift students. And so you're in really good hands, and you're going to get some very valuable practices, insights, healings, and shifts moving forward. So again, it's all at the URL empathshadowwork.com, and you will get that special victim triangle bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight. So, Divi, it's been a very illuminating hour. Thank you so much for your bright spirit and deep insights. And anything you want to share with folks who are considering doing the full course with you?
first thing I want to say is thank you so much for watching this whole video. So much. The biggest thing I would say is it doesn't have to be so hard. I am also a sensitive, you're a sensitive, Stephen's a sensitive. Life's hard. Life's hard, right? We shrink small. We don't live to our potential. I believe we are sensitives being on this planet right now, crazy as it is, to help it heal. We are miracle workers. We are capable of changing the planet. It doesn't take all 8 billion of us. It only takes a fraction. It only takes a fraction. So my encouragement is please, please, please don't let your sensitivity block you. This course will teach you how to undo it. It's from the bottom of my heart. It is about us together, banding together to change the planet, to change the world, to create miracles within our circle, within our lives, and for each other. So I am so blessed and honored, first just to meet you on this, then honored, excited to work with you so that you don't lose your vision or fight with your partner all the time, but actually live a life of joy, because that's what I think we're here for. I really do. So thank you.
Well, I love your inspiring vision of us all as healers and to live a life of joy. So thank you so much, Divi, for bringing your joy and your magic and your wisdom here. And thank you all for joining. I look forward to seeing many of you in upcoming Divi's program. And again, you get that special Victim Triangle bonus when you sign up today. The URL is empathshadowwork.com, and the name of the program is Shadow Wisdom for Empaths. Embrace the Divine Mother to transform survival patterns and activate your spiritual gifts. So thank you so much. Many blessings.
Yeah.